From Ronald Acuna tearing the ACL in his left knee for the second time and missing basically the whole season, to Matt Olson hitting only 29 home runs, the Braves had a pretty disappointing season from a fantasy baseball perspective. So today I will break them down and we will talk about if things will look better in 2025 on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, riding solo, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube, and if you are, and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It'll subscribe you to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode, so you should totally do that. And if you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And lastly, most importantly, to Matt and I, join us on the Subtext platform. On the Subtext platform, you will get so much more than we can offer in this 30-minute podcast, including a look ahead with our 2025 rankings, so much more with Breakout, Sleepers, Bust, and just guys, it's really going to help you get through this offseason if you're missing fantasy baseball. So the link is in our bio if you're ever listening or watching. Please check us out over on Subtext. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. All right, guys, so we're hopping into things here. We've made it all the way to the Atlanta Braves, one of the better teams in baseball. But you know what the thing is? Honestly, they were disappointing, like I said, from a fantasy baseball perspective. But you know what? We just do our regular housekeeping here. So let's talk about the team, as a whole. They had 89 wins, 73 losses. They looked good, but they couldn't hold it together. When it came to the playoffs, right, they got swept by those Padres 2-0. So, like I said, it was just really disappointing to see that from the Atlanta Braves. We had really high hopes for them, and they disappointed in both aspects. But we'll start with their prime player, their best player, Ronald Acuna Jr. He missed basically the whole season, tore the ACL in his left knee for the second time in his career. Actually, I'm sorry. I do apologize. He tore his ACL in general. It was the right knee last time, but he also has sprained the left knee, going back to 2018. I did want to mention that too. So, Ronald Acuna Jr. becomes one of those guys. When we look at him, he's a little bit injury prone. And is he going to go out there and ever steal 70 bases again? I don't foresee it. He's going to be such a tough one to rank for fantasy baseball going into 2025. He was disappointing through his 49 games that he did play in 2024. Once again, Ronald Acuna, who we're talking about here, 192 at-bats, 38 runs, 8 doubles, a triple, 4 homers, 15 RBIs. He stole 16 bags. He had 27 walks to 53 strikeouts, no solid ratio, but he only hit 250. So, he's going to be 27 next year. We don't know officially when he's going to be back. It sounds like he's not going to be ready for opening day. I'll say this. I play in a lot of fantasy baseball leagues. There'll be at least one redraft league where I take the shot on Acuna. I think the price, let's see if I still have it pulled up. I was looking at some early, mock drafts before. Actually, I don't even have it pulled up. So I'm not sure where the ADP currently is in these way too early drafts that are going on Acuna. But I would have got to be second, third round pick at worst, not even knowing when he's going to return from injury. The upside, I honestly think next year is at least 30-30 with definitely upside of 40 home runs and, a solid amount of steals. I just don't think they're going to let Acuna run wild, which is them being the Braves. But, the runs are still going to be tremendous. The RBIs are going to be tremendous. Acuna obviously can hit for batting average. He's a 289 career hitter. I just don't know if Acuna is going to ever be the best player of baseball again like he was in 2023. So with Ronald Acuna being, a little bit banged up, it's just going to be so much fun to see where he's going to be drafted. He was the number one overall pick in 2024 from every fantasy baseball league, pretty much, just because of the 40-70 that he put up in 2023. So with that being said, let's move on to another Atlanta Brave. Let's talk some Matt Olson here. Olson, another disappointing player from a fantasy perspective when we're talking about these Braves. He did only hit those 29 home runs I mentioned about at the top of the episode. But with that being said, he did play all 162 games for the fourth time in his career, third consecutive career year in a row for Matt Olson doing that. That's a crazy feat. So kudos to Matt Olson for doing that. 600 at-bats this year, only 78 runs, 37 doubles, 1 triple, 29 homers, 98 RBIs. He walked 71 times, struck out 170 times, hit 247. Here's the thing with Matt Olson. I didn't think the year that he had in 2023 was repeatable. I didn't think the 54 home runs and 283 batting average was something that he was going to touch again. I definitely thought, 35 plus home runs is obvious, maybe even the potential of 40, 100 RBIs, a solid amount of runs. And then, the batting average is what's always been so up and down for Matt Olson. He's a career 254 hitter, across 1,000 plus games played with over 3,800 at bats. And I think that says a lot about who he is. I don't think we should go into 2025 expecting Matt Olson to hit 260 plus, right? If Matt Olson could hit us 40 home runs with 115 RBIs, hitting 255, with close to 100 runs, that's what we're getting. And he's a top 5 first baseman, hands down. I just don't think we bake in that upside that we did going into 2024, because we did. And, I'm going to pull it up now where we had to take Matt Olson. We were taking Matt Olson at pick 13, the second first baseman off the board, when, Bryce Harper and Vladimir Guerrero were going, later than that. And they produced better than Olson did. And, Pete Alonso was going later as well, and you got very similar production from Alonso with more power. So it's going to be tricky for Olson, but I'm probably going to have him ranked, like I said, still as a top 5 first baseman, but probably on the lower end of that 5. Let's sneak one more in here. Let's sneak another guy in here. Let's how do I want to do this? Let's do it how I have it. Let's talk about Michael Harris, another, Braves player who dealt with injury throughout the year. With that being said, still put up, pretty solid numbers for the amount of games played. 23 years old, Michael Harris, 110 games played this year, 440 at-bats, 58 runs, 14 doubles, 3 triples, 16 homers, 48 RBIs. He stole 10 bags. He walked 23 times. He struck out 94 times, and he hit 264. Like I said, injuries, Harris had to deal with. Led to the lower production, but the upside's still there. We all know the 25 upside that Michael Harris has. He hits the ball hard. He's pretty quick as well. So, with the 280 batting average upside, I think he's going to be underrated. I think people are going to be sleeping on Michael Harris. Let's see what we had to take him last year, because I think he was so hyped up that he had to be taken as the 10th outfielder. That's a number 1 outfielder pretty much every league you're playing in. Pick 31 overall. It got too rich for my blood. I wasn't doing that. I love Michael Harris as an outfielder number 2, though. He is a strong, solid outfielder number 2. I think the Braves find a way to get this kid up higher in the lineup. I don't know if it's just going to be that Acuna isn't there for a little bit, so they're going to let Harris, hit at the top. They were doing it. They were doing it for a while. It was pretty much Harris, Albies, Riley, Olson, Ozuna. I think we see something similar at the beginning of this year. And if Harris is healthy and he could just hit the ground running and take off, I think we see a season from Harris of 100 plus runs, 20 plus homers. RBIs are probably going to be lackluster. You're talking maybe 60, top 65, stealing 25 bags with a 285 batting average. In those points leagues, he leaves a lot to be desired. His points to strikeout ratio isn't great, but I do love me some Michael Harris. And with that being said, this Braves roster is stacked. We're going to talk about guys like Albies, Ozuna. We're going to get into Sale and the Spencer and Spencer. So those names and more coming up next. And guys, I want to talk to you about my friends over at Robinhood real quick. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5 APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an RIA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up now at Robinhood Gold at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rates may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. And then, guys, for most of us that like collecting cards, the idea of spending $2,000 or more on a Luka, Ellie, or Mahomes rookie card just isn't in the cards. I love collecting, but those are some serious prices to drop for cards. Thanks to slab packs from arenaclub.com, it's now possible to score gem mints for a fraction of their retail price. Every card that I listed was a hit from last week's Arena Club slab pack drop. Arena Club is the only repack that provides real value, a complete view of all the possible cards, and clear hit rates for each one. Arena Club slab packs are revolutionizing the repack game with transparency. After your pulls are revealed, they'll immediately be placed in your showroom for safekeeping, selling, trading, or auction. The Arena Club grading process is accurate, fast, and transparent, with full grade rationale provided and explanation of how your card was scored. Right now, you can get 10% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/lockedonmlb and use code lockedonmlb. That's arenaclub.com/lockedonmlb, code lockedonmlb for 10% off your first purchase. And then once again, real quick, I want to talk to you guys about the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast, Diamond Club, on the Subtext platform, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion as this offseason continues to unfold. You can rely on Matt and I for our dynamic content. You're going to get real-time alerts to your phone, including rankings for 2025. We're also going to include way more than we can talk about on this 30-minute podcast. We got, in-depth bust, breakouts, and sleepers for 2025. And just, you can throw us your dynasty, keeper questions on there. We'll only be answering those questions on the Diamond Club on Subtext. Link is in bio, so come and join us now. All right, folks, let's get back into this Atlanta Braves team because it's a good one. There's so much potential here from a fantasy baseball perspective. We already talked about 3 players that were inside the top 2 rounds. And now we're going to talk about Ozzie Albies. And oddly enough, another player who dealt with injuries this year. Maybe it has something to do with the Braves medical staff. Maybe, I don't know, they're partying too much over there in Atlanta. But they need to figure this out and get it under control because Ozzie Albies, another guy, played 99 games this year, 399 at-bats, 52 runs, 29 doubles, 1 triple, 10 homers, 53 RBIs, 8 steals, and he hit .251. Last year, Ozzie hit 33 home runs with 13 steals, had 109 RBIs. I didn't buy that was the real deal. I'm not sure what to think about Albies. He's such an intriguing player. I feel like he finds a new version of himself every year. So you never really know exactly what player to expect when he gets out there on the field, right? He hits the ball hard. He's not super fast. He doesn't even hit the ball crazy hard, actually, if I'm going to be honest with you. Even if you go back and look at some of his best years, it's not about him being overpowering, to be honest. It's more about him finding the sweet spot when he swings. This is part of why I didn't like him, actually, to be honest. Now, as I'm looking at the underlying stuff, I really do remember why I wasn't super fond on Albies going into 2024. I think even healthy, 25 to 30 home runs is a realistic expectation. Albies hits in a good spot and a good lineup, so I think the runs and the RBIs are always going to be good. He always steals 10-plus bags. The batting average is all over the place. He's a career Ozzie Albies is a career 270 batting average guy, over 871 games, 3,500 almost plate appearances. So I think that's believable. So you're talking about a 30 home run guy with good counting stats, chips and 10 steals, bats 270 at a position where it's tough to find guys. I like him. I'll probably have some shares next year, to be honest with you. It's just health has been an unreliable thing for Albies throughout his whole career. I'll have Albies, amongst the top 5 second baseman, probably closer to 3 if anything. We might get some good value with the numbers being down this year. Kind of talking myself into Albies a little bit more as I talk about him and look at the stuff here, because even though some of the underlying stuff may not agree with the stats that we're seeing, Albies has been doing it for a while at this point in his career, outperforming those things. As I look back through Albies' whole career and I see the same kind of underlying stuff. He's 28 next year, still in the prime of his career, could still have another strong season. I'm believing. I'm buying into Albies. I move on now. I move on to Marcell Ozuna. I take a little pat on the back with this one here with Ozuna. I called it. I knew he had it in him to be this good before. He's shown it. He proved it, especially if you drafted him, in Yahoo leagues and leagues like that, where he did have outfield eligibility amazingly still, and it was just fantastic. Ozuna played all 162 games this past season, 606 at-bats, 96 runs, 31 doubles, 39 homers, 104 RBIs. He had 74 walks to 170 strikeouts, and he hit 302. The proof is in the pudding. I think you have another strong season from Ozuna next year. 35-plus homers, 100-plus RBIs. The run total continues to impress me for Ozuna. I wouldn't be shocked if he puts up 75-plus runs, again as well. And the batting average is there. He can do it. There were seasons past where he didn't, but more often than not, Ozuna hits for a good batting average. I'm expecting 275-plus with the upside of 290-plus too. So you're betting on the 275-plus. Anything over that's gravy train. But I know he has it in him to be better. He's 34 next year. I don't know why, but you see guys like him and David Ortiz. They kind of just age well. Those big bodies, are sturdy. They're reliable. So you see guys like that. Ozuna 6'1", 225. Poppy was just as big. I love it. I'm all in. I'll probably have me some shares of Ozuna next year too. The thing is, I just don't know if we're getting the outfield eligibility again, because at least in 2023 he played 2 games at outfield. So Yahoo was like, all right, we'll still give it to him. I don't know if that's the case in going into 25. It might just be utility only. So we might actually get a little bit of good value on Ozuna, and I'll take it. Even though, he's going to be plugging up that utility spot, you're getting good production from it. Guys, I'm so sorry. This Braves team is great, and, I am moving a little bit slow. I do want to take my time as we come upon Austin Riley and move into starting pitchers. I talked about the Spencer and Spencer connection and Chris Sale. Those names and more, though, are coming up next, so make sure you stick around. So real quick, guys, I do want to talk to you about my friends over at Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you the only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. With Game Time Picks curation, it makes it easier to save more on sports, concert, comedy, theater, and more. Game Time has plenty of great features, such as their all-in pricing. When you toggle this feature, it shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. With their seat views, you're actually getting a panoramic view from the actual seat you'll be sitting in the app before you buy it. With their lowest price guarantee, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference on your tickets if there is an issue. Game Time's ticket coverage. Your tickets are covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets now with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. And then get ready to tackle NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And all right, guys, here, I'm going to try to do a lot in a little bit of time, so make sure you stick with me. Let's talk about Austin Riley next. Austin Riley, it's honestly insane. I feel like almost every player on this roster is brittle right now. It's crazy. The Braves really do need to get this together because Austin Riley was also hurt this year. But he's another guy I really think it's just going to be another guy that we're going to get really good value on that's still young. He's going to be 28 next season, Austin Riley. He played 110 games this past season with 425 at-bats, 63 runs, 26 doubles, 2 triples, 19 homers, 56 RBIs. He struck out 37 times. He walked 118. Oh, no, opposite. He walked 37 times, struck out 118 times. He had a 253 batting average as well. With Riley dealing with injuries, it was tough. It was a tough season for him. But with that being said, the proof is in the pudding. Austin Riley has been one of the best third basemen over the last 3 years. This is the first time, honestly, that, he's been hurt in a while, and it wasn't even his fault. He fractured his right hand. So this is an easy one for him to come back from. I'm going to do an average Austin Riley season from 2021 to 2023, right? So average season for Austin Riley. 159 games played. Once again, 159 games played, 614 at-bats, 99 runs, 35 doubles, 2 triples, 36 homers, 99 RBIs, and a 286 batting average. And that's just the average. That's when you just average out the 3 seasons. That's what you get from Austin Riley. With him being only 28 next year, there's going to be value. I think we're going to be able to do well on Austin Riley because you're going to have the guys on Jose Ramirez. You're going to have them on, Ellie. You're going to have them on a couple of different guys. So I think Riley might fall, towards the lower end of the top 5 third baseman. And I'm going to be taking him everywhere. If I can get Austin Riley in the 3rd, 4th round, where I hope he's going to be going, when it comes to a 12-man league, I'm going to be on it. I'm going to be taking him, and I'm really hoping the 4th round is the sweet spot. So for somebody like me this year, when it comes to strategy, I'm going to be doing something like maybe thinking like hitter, pitcher, hitter, and Austin Riley's going to be that bang in the 4th round, and I really think we're going to do well on him. Not really too much to add there. Just a very young, consistent player with pop 6'3", 240. We talked about Austin Riley's height and weight. Consistent. I don't think we worry about the injury last year. Let's get into the pitching. A little bit of time, a lot to talk about. Chris Sale, man. Another Atlanta Brave that I was all in on last season that paid off. We were getting him so late in drafts. Let's talk about what Sale did at 35 years old. He won 18 games. He had a 2.38 ERA. He had 29 starts, 177 innings. 225 strikeouts. He had a 101 whip. He was excellent. Now, we're going to have to take Chris Sale as an SP1. I'm probably not doing it in 2025. The reason I was really loving on Chris Sale was the value that we were getting on him. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Chris Sale was coming off the board as the 32nd starting pitcher, pick 118. So you were literally getting Chris Sale, as sometimes an SP3 in a 12-man league. And that if you really mapped it out right and you went with like a Corbin Burns, Blake Snell, Chris Sale rotation, oh my God. And it maybe even you switched out one of those guys 3 for a Cole Reagans. You made out well. I ranked all of those guys really high. I love it. I'm very happy at Chris Sale's season. Won me some money this year, but next year in 2025, I'm out. I don't think I'm going to be able to take him as my SP1. I think if you really waited in a 12-man league and he's there, he's fallen to like, SP 14, 16, and you're still looking for your first starting pitcher, I think maybe you could pop in there and you take him, but otherwise it's going to be really hard. It's going to be tough for him to repeat this type of season. I don't think Chris Sale, is going to throw 177 innings again next year. I think if we get 150 plus, it's going to be great because, 36 years of age for Chris Sale next season. You can't expect for too much. Let's move on to another guy that I don't know what to expect from. Spencer Strider, right? Spencer Strider, another guy coming off of another, actually not Tommy John. I believe he got the internal brace. I believe Spencer Strider did opt for the internal brace. But Spencer Strider's elite. Spencer Strider's elite when he's out there, man. In 2023, we'll go back to he did have a higher ERA with a 3.86, 186 innings pitched, 281 strikeouts, almost 100 more strikeouts than innings pitched. He had a 109 whip, but look at this. Spencer Strider's FIP, which again is fielding independent pitching, was a whole run lower than his ERA. It was a 2.85. So the results just didn't really line up for Strider. He's coming back better than ever at 26 years old. Strider's another one that I want to see. Hey, where is he being drafted in 25? This upcoming season, because the stuff is elite, big fastball, good slider. He knows how to work it, man. I want to see if he comes back throwing as hard, because if the velocity's off, that's going to be difficult for him to upkeep these big strikeout numbers that he puts up. He's not going to be able to blow by everybody. Oh, I thought I had his name up there on YouTube. Sorry about that. We're back up once again talking about Spencer Strider here. I think if we get him as an SP2, SP3, because we know he's not going to be there opening day. As long as things look right, as long as they're saying, hey, he's ready, he's on track, he's throwing, I'm all in on Strider as an SP2, SP3 for 2025. But I don't think there's that much to talk about other than where we're going to be drafting him, because I think as soon as he comes back, the results are going to be elite. Might have to wait on the control to get to where it's going to be. And once again, if that velocity is sitting there, he's going to be fine. Let's move on to the other Spencer, though. Let's talk about Spencer Schwellenbach. I think this is going to be a breakout candidate for 2025. I think Schwellenbach has potential to be SP1-ish, right? So let's talk about the results this past season. 21 starts for the young Schwellenbach, a 3.35 ERA, 123 innings pitched, 127 strikeouts, a 1.04 whip. That's in his first season as a 24-year-old. He has 5 pitches. I feel like every time I talk about Schwellenbach, I feel like I'm talking about Bobby Miller from last year, and it just is it's tough for me because I was so in on Bobby Miller and it didn't work out for him, and I feel like I'm just so in on Schwellenbach. And I really hope this one just works out because, like I said, he's fantastic. So let's do this. I want to do Schwellenbach's last 12 starts to kind of just highlight, once again, how good he was even down the stretch for us fantasy baseball, players. 73 innings, 78 strikeouts, a 2.47 ERA. Batters only hit 210 against him. The whip was really strong. I believe it was, sub 1 whip down the way for Schwellenbach. And it's just crazy to see a young starting pitcher in his first taste of the bigs be this good. So I'll be all in. I honestly have seen him in so far in some early drafts going around SP40, SP45. If you're in a 12-man league and you can get Schwellenbach as your SP4, I think you're going to be walking away super happy. I'm probably going to be trying to sneak him in as my SP3 if I'm waiting on an SP3. I'm just really hoping that's the way it works out for a guy like this. I don't want to have to draft him too much higher than that. But with that being said, I do want to give an honorable mention to Max Fried. I'll throw his name up here if you're still watching on YouTube. Not necessarily knowing if he's going to be with the Braves next season. He is a free agent. He had a pretty strong season in 24. I'll just mention numbers because I don't have too much time here. He did pitch 174 innings, 166 strikeouts, 3.25 ERA for Fried, 11 wins with a 1.16 whip. Very much what you would expect of Fried. He's actually going to be 31 next season. I think team context is going to be important for Fried, the big lefty. So we'll see what happens with him. I'm not going to say too much else because I have to head out here. So thanks, guys, for listening. That's all for today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Also, thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. And after you make us your first listen, go check out our boy Sully over at Locked On MLB. Make him your second listen. And once again, that's all for today. So, guys, until next time, see ya.